Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Please accept my humble obeisances. I believe that is the language I learned from ISKCON long ago. To everyone here in the audience, most importantly, I offer my Sashtang Dandavat Pranam to Jagadguru Nimbakacharya Peethadipati, Hamare Swami Shri Shyam Sharan Devacharya Ji Maharaj. He is the 49th in succession from Bhagavan Sri Nimbakacharya himself, and because of how ISKCON has arranged this wonderful summit, I'm also actually being able to have darshan of Sri Radha Bhagavan, who is right behind Swamiji. Sri Radha Bhagavan, for those who are not aware, in Rajasthan, in just outside Pushkar, where the headquarters of our Acharya Peeth is, we have the Vigraha that was worshipped by Sri Jayadev Kavi, who was in the 10th century, a very ardent follower of the Nimbaka tradition, was brought during the attacks on Vrindavan in the 1700s and has been worshipped in the Acharya Peeth ever since. So it's wonderful to have this darshan. It's also amazing to be able to have the darshan of all the other sadhus and to hear the wonderful words of Sri Chinnajir Swamiji, whose work throughout America and the rest of the world is well known. It is exactly as that shloka is said in the Padma Puran, Sri Brahma Rudra Sanaka Vaishnava Kshiti Pavaka. For truly, it is these sampradayas that have gone across the entire world. Kshiti Pavaka, it's not just Bharata Pavaka, but Kshiti Pavaka. They have purified the whole world by their teachings and examples. So I want to bring it back to a personal level. Swamiji was saying before, and Sri Chinnajir Swamiji was saying at the very beginning, that Vaishnavism is not an ism. It's not a religion. It's not an analog to Christianity or even to Catholicism, say. Vaishnava Dharma is a collection of different streams that have very similar heart, but have a little bit of a different expression. And those expressions aren't born of, inner squabbling. They're actually born of long histories of practice, of philosophy, and of theology that we can trace if we only put our minds to it. 125 years for Srila Prabhupada, Abhay Charanaravinda, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. So to see him and his followers celebrate 125 years, for them to be able to put together not only one of the biggest temples, I believe it's the biggest satsang hall will be in the entire world, 6,000 people or so at the temple of the Vedic Planetarium, and to be installing his Vigraha tomorrow, a very, very auspicious day of Vijayadashami. It's just something that I would love to say, that if it wasn't for ISKCON, I would have had a very tough time on this planet. I'm currently in Guyana, in a small country in South America, and here there's so many wonderful things to see. I saw a Gaudiya temple just the other day, which has a picture of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Narayan Maharaj at the same time. And I thought to myself how very interesting the world is, that Vaishnava Dharma has arrived even as far as Guyana and much beyond. I think back to that line in the Ramcharitmanas when Sri Hanumanji is going around Lanka and he is very perturbed by what he sees until he happens upon the place of Vibhishana, where Vibhishana's whole garden is full of tulsi leaves, where he sees the signs of the bow and arrow of Bhagavan Sri Ram, and he feels, I finally found a place that I can take respite. When I travel, that's exactly how I feel. When I go to the mandirs that ISKCON has established, I can finally get hold of the tulsi dala I need to worship my Shaligramji. So, in a very little anecdote, I want to express my gratitude. Another thing that I think Vaishnava Dharma, and I think this is what I want to focus my remaining 3 minutes on, is that Vaishnava Dharma foregrounds vibhinnata. We as Nimbakis, we have always said that Bhagavan Sri Krishna loves new things. This is why everything is new. Lavina Vega Sundaram and all those lovely things. Even he takes on new appearances. He likes new flowers, this, that, and the other. It's all a very devotional way of putting forward a very serious philosophical concept. And that is that diversity is an expression of that unity. There is nothing about monocultures here. There is no evangelism here in the Vaishnava Dharma. It is a celebration of everything that is different. that makes us Vaishnavas actually quite relevant to this time. You see, for the past 200 years, a very strong monoculture was being created across this world by colonial powers that had the ability to create and enforce such monocultures. But now that people have seen the actual problems that are created by monoculturism, people are now looking for how to celebrate diversity. Unfortunately, they're using monocultural theories to celebrate diversity, which really doesn't work. It only leads to representation, and that's the end of it. If they look just beyond that now, back to the past, they will see how Vaishnava Dharma dealt with diversity. We have in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Yayathamam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. Nama vartmanu vartate manushya partha sarvasha. All of these different statements that you'll find throughout the Sri Bhagavad Gita were said by Bhagavan himself. It's not for a joke. Nimbarkis have never gone out and said, you must become Nimbarki. Followers of Sri Ramanujacharya never said, you must follow, Ramanujacharya. We're not interested in that. As far as Vaishnava Dharma is concerned, all we want is that people find their connection with their Paramatma. That's it. Why do I bring up diversity? I bring up diversity for quite a serious reason, actually. And that is, if we think in the terms of monoculture, and if we sit in our little silo and think about our acharya, our this, our that, and our the other, that's very good. We should do that. But we should also have an eye to what else was out there. What else is out there? That will actually help us solve the problems of the present. I want to reverse us back a little bit. You know, we all say that famous one, Akashat patitam toyam yathagachati sagaram. What happens when that drops of water fall is that they form little streams, right? And these little streams, when they coalesce, they lead to the ocean. We heard about that. But I think that some people are eager to push those streams together very inorganically. Srinivas Bhagavan was never about that. Srinivas Bhagavan himself was a muni, a mahamuni, a forest ascetic. He was in the forest, and Vasudaji was saying, Professor Vasta Narayananji from University of Florida, she was saying that the Ramanuja tradition isn't one of excessive asceticism. The Nimbark Sampradaya, by contrast, is a tradition of excessive asceticism. On the one hand, you still have Katya Baba Paramparas in Bengal today and in Bangladesh today, but it also has the type of acharyas that were able to converse with kings and queens and all of that. What are we talking about? There is a spectrum. That very same spectrum that Bhagavan himself wants for us, that there be a place for each and every individual, no matter how they think or behave. To me, that is the essence of Vaishnava Dharma. Srinivas Bhagavan said, karma, gnana, bhakti, okay. But also, if you can't manage those things, then within bhakti there's sadhana bhakti, there's parabhakti. If you are confused about sadhana bhakti and you don't want to do it the Puranic way, then take the Tantric way. There's no problem in that. If that's too much for you, then surrender everything and do Bhagavat Prapatti or Sharanagati. If you can't do Sharanagati, because that's too much asking you to transform yourself too much, then don't worry. Do Guru Pasatti. Just follow the advice of the Guru whenever you can. And at some point in time, you will find your way back to Sri Shyam Sundar. Why I bring up this diversity point is to highlight another point as well, which is Srinivas Bhagavan was around on this planet 50 years before Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya ji. And as he worked on this planet, he did one thing that no other sampradaya did up until that point, and that was to give Vedantic support to Bhagavan Sri Krishna as Parabrahman. There is no older Krishna worshipping sampradaya on this planet. And at the same time he did that, as Jagadguruji said, Sri Radhika ji was also brought as exactly the same Parabrahman as Sri Krishna is. Radha Krishna Swarupam vai Krishnam Radha Swarupanam Kalatmanam Nikunjastham Gururupam Sada Bhaje. By bringing Sri Radha and Krishna into the world of the Vedantics, Srinivas Bhagavan wasn't doing something that was acceptable. He was censured by his own disciple, Srinivas Acharya. Srinivas Acharya said, how can you prove this? Srinivas Bhagavan says, look, I am not here to give you a detailed justification for any of this. This is not the way of the Munis. What is true will make itself clear to you. And so said, so done. After sadhana, Srinivas Acharya realized Parabrahman is Radha Krishna. So that is how that spread. But their disciple, in the few generations down the line, Purushottam Acharya, was faced by big pushback. They said, oh, no, Lakshmi Narayan is the best. All of these kinds of squabbles. are not behooving Vaishnavas. So, just like the Krishna worshipping Vaishnavas and the Vishnu worshipping Vaishnavas are sat here together on this one manch, I hope in the future too that other traditions come together, that people of no religious tradition but spirituality come together, people who are opposed to all of this come together, and just like in the sadhasis of old, discuss. Sangat chadvansam vadadvansam vo manasi janatam. We all know this from the Rig Veda. And I'm glad that Sri Gaurangadas Ji Maharaj has convened such a gathering via Zoom, a gathering that we have had in Salimabad at Pushkar Tirth by our former Jagadguru Swami Sri Radha Krishna Vishwa Ji Maharaj. He organized countless of these sammelans, as was said, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I hope that in this new age, that ISKCON being one of the torch-bearer institutions of Vaishnava Dharma on this planet, they too push forward this agenda of simply bringing people together to talk. Parasparam bhavayanta. That's what I want. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. Thank you so much for having me. Jai Jai Shri Radha Krishna.